Hey everyone, and welcome back for another deep dive.
Excited to be here.
Today we're heading into the Bili Forest.
Ooh.
It's in the Democratic Republic of Congo
Right.
to tackle the mystery of the Bili Apes.
Oh, okay.
You know,
Yeah.
maybe you've heard of them.
Uh-huh.
They're sometimes called lion killers.
Interesting.
Have you heard that before?
I have heard that, yeah.
Yeah. So we're going to try to sort through all the different accounts of these creatures.
Okay.
We've got articles, research papers,
Mm.
even a YouTube video transcript.
Sounds like a lot to unpack.
It is.
Yeah.
You know, we've all seen that blurry photograph
Oh,
floating
yeah.
around the internet.
Right.
Supposedly shows a giant chimp,
Uh-huh.
maybe even a hybrid,
Okay.
strong enough to take down lions. Yeah.
I mean, how crazy is that?
It's pretty wild.
So we're going to try to separate fact from fiction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's a good goal because it's definitely,
It is.
it's interesting how this story has kind of evolved over time, right?
We're not just dealing with one account.
Right.
We've got layers of local legends and early discoveries and modern research.
Yeah, like we're basically detectives here, right?
Yeah, that's a great way to put it.
Piecing together the history of the Bili Ape.
Exactly.
So where do we even begin?
Well, I think like a lot of great mysteries,
Okay.
it all starts with local legends.
Okay.
So picture yourself
Mm-hmm.
in the heart of the Bili Forest.
Okay.
It's dense, remote jungle.
Yeah.
You encounter locals,
Right.
and they tell you stories of these enormous apes.
Okay.
Unlike anything they've seen before.
Bigger than a regular chimp.
Yeah, larger than typical chimps.
Okay.
Incredibly strong,
Wow.
even capable of killing lions.
Long-killing chimps.
That's the legend.
Whoa.
Yeah.
I mean, I know chimps are strong,
Oh, they are.
but that's next level.
That's a whole other level.
Are we really supposed to believe that these legends are true?
Well, it's easy to dismiss legends as pure fantasy,
True.
but sometimes they do hold a grain of truth.
And in this case,
Yeah.
those stories actually led to some pretty intriguing early discoveries.
Oh, okay, like what?
So back in 1898,
Mm-hmm.
and then again in 1908,
Okay.
researchers found unusual gorilla skulls.
Gorilla skulls.
Yeah, in the Bili
Yeah.
Forest.
Hmm.
And these skulls,
Yeah.
they had some characteristics
What kind of characteristics?
that didn't quite match up with typical gorillas.
Interesting.
So that kind of added a layer of mystery to the whole thing.
So we've got local legends
Right.
and strange skulls.
Uh-huh.
That's enough to pique my interest.
I'd say so.
Who picked up the trail from there?
Well, let's fast forward to the 1990s.
Okay.
Enter Carl Ammon,
Okay.
wildlife photographer.
Huh?
Became totally captivated by these stories
Huh.
and the mystery of those skulls.
So he was like obsessed.
Yeah, he even tracked down the original skulls from the early 1900s.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they were in a Belgian museum.
Hmm.
And that sparked his own expeditions into the Bili Forest.
So he was like boots on the ground. Yeah.
Boots on the ground.
Looking for these things. This is where things get interesting.
It does.
What did Amon find?
Well, he never actually directly observed them,
Oh.
but he found more skulls.
More skulls.
Yeah, with those same kind of odd features, you know, chimp-like and gorilla-like.
Okay.
He also spoke to local hunters
Yeah.
who claimed to have seen the giant chimps
Okay.
and even bought a photograph supposedly depicting one.
A photograph.
A photograph.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So Ammon's findings
Yeah.
were enough to catch the eye of National Geographic.
Wow. National Geographic.
Yeah.
That's big.
They actually provided funding for further research.
So this is when things blew up.
Yeah, you could say that.
This is when it hit the mainstream.
Yeah, this is when Shelley Williams enters the picture.
Kelly Williams.
Yeah, she was an experimental psychologist,
Okay.
and she joined the research team
Mm-hmm.
and claimed to have made some groundbreaking observations of the Bili Apes.
Groundbreaking.
Groundbreaking. What did she find?
Her claims were really something else.
Okay.
She described the apes as massive.
Massive.
Walking upright.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Walking upright.
That's right.
That's not normal for chimps.
No, typically chimps walk on all fours.
Right.
You know, they use their knuckles for support.
Yeah. Quadrupedal.
Exactly.
So that's a pretty bold statement.
It was a bold statement,
Yeah.
but it didn't stop there.
Okay.
She also claimed they howled.
They howl.
Like wolves.
Not just any howl.
Okay.
They howled at the moon.
Howling at the moon.
Howling at the moon.
That sounds more like something out of a werewolf movie.
It does sound a little far-fetched, right?
Yeah, did anyone, like, question this?
Well, that's where things start to get a little complicated.
Oh,
Yeah, Williams's lack of formal training in primatology
okay.
raised some eyebrows right away.
Yeah, like what are her credentials?
Right. And you have to remember,
Yeah.
we're talking about some pretty extraordinary claims here. Yeah. Giant chimps walking upright, howling at the moon.
Exactly.
That's a lot to take in.
It is, and extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence.
Right.
And that's where things started to unravel for Williams.
Okay, so before we jump into all that,
Yeah.
let's just take a second and process what we've got so far.
Okay.
What stands out to you about this story?
Honestly,
Yeah.
the way this story is told
What
is just as fascinating as the creature itself.
do you mean?
Well, think about it.
Okay.
We start with these captivating local legends
Right.
that just spark curiosity.
Yeah.
Then we have those early skull discoveries
Mm-hmm.
that hint at something unusual.
Right.
And then you have Williams's sensational claims.
Yeah.
It's like adding fuel to the fire.
Yeah.
It's a perfect storm for a media frenzy. It
It is,
is.
and that's
And
the
it
best way I
should
can.
not end there.
Oh, I bet.
Yeah.
So we've got this whirlwind of legends and mystery skulls.
Yes.
And a researcher making some pretty out there claims.
Yeah.
Where do we go from here?
Well, that's where science really comes in,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
Those early accounts and discoveries were intriguing,
Hmm.
but they weren't enough to definitively answer the question
Of what they are.
of what these Bili Apes actually were.
Right.
So we needed hard evidence,
Okay.
and that's where DNA analysis enters the scene.
Right? Because DNA can tell us a lot about a species,
Exactly.
about its evolutionary history, where it fits in the bigger picture.
It's like a genetic blueprint.
Yeah. So who took on the challenge of unraveling the Bili Apes' DNA?
That would be Cleve Hicks.
Cleve Hicks.
Yeah, he's a primatologist.
Yeah.
Took a much more rigorous approach to studying the Bili Apes.
Right.
Instead of relying just on observations,
Yeah.
he collected hair and fecal samples from the forest
Okay.
and brought them back to the lab for testing.
So actual scientific method here.
Yeah, boots on the ground and then back to the lab.
So instead of blurry photos and anecdotal accounts,
Right.
we're looking at the ape's genetic code. What did the DNA reveal?
Well, the results were pretty surprising.
Okay.
The tests focused on mitochondrial DNA,
Okay.
which is passed down through the maternal line.
Oh, okay.
So you can think of it like tracing your ancestry through your mother's side.
Ah, I see.
And what those tests revealed was that the Bili Apes
Yeah.
were not a new species,
Oh.
nor a hybrid.
What?
They were, genetically speaking,
Yeah.
Eastern chimpanzees.
Wait, so all this time,
I know, right?
all this mystery,
Mm-hmm.
all this speculation,
Yeah.
and we're dealing with a known species of chimpanzee.
That's what the DNA says.
What was the reaction to that?
I mean,
Yeah.
it was a big revelation. The
Right.
scientific community, after some initial skepticism,
Sure.
largely accepted the DNA evidence.
Okay.
But it is important to note that not everyone was convinced.
Like who?
Remember Shelley Williams?
Oh, yeah. Shelley Williams.
She actually disputed the DNA findings,
Really?
claimed contamination or flaws in the testing.
Yeah. So,
Interesting how,
yeah.
someone so invested in their research
Yeah.
might be reluctant to accept evidence
Yeah.
that contradicts their findings.
It's the human element of science.
It is.
We're not always completely objective.
Right, especially when we're passionate about something.
Exactly.
But if the Bili Apes are just Eastern chimpanzees,
yeah.
why are we even talking about them?
Well, that's the thing.
Yeah.
Even though they weren't a new species,
Uh-huh.
they still had some unique traits that set them apart from other Eastern chimps.
Okay, like what?
Well, for one, they were, on average, slightly larger
Okay.
and had slightly larger heads.
Hmm.
And then there was that unusual graying pattern.
Right, the early graying.
Yeah, remember that.
If I remember correctly, it wasn't just older males turning gray,
Right.
like with typical chimpanzee silverbacks.
Exactly.
It was both males and females.
Yeah, and they started graying early in life.
Yeah. What's up with that?
That's one of the things that makes them so unique.
Yeah. And it wasn't just their appearance.
Okay.
They also exhibited some unusual behaviors.
Okay.
For example, they were observed building ground nests.
Ground nests.
Yeah, which is much more common in gorillas
Than chimps.
than in chimpanzees.
Huh. So some of those initial observations about them having gorilla-like traits
Right.
weren't totally off base.
Exactly. It seems that the unique environment of the Bili forest
Okay.
might have played a role in shaping these distinctive traits.
Oh.
Researchers believe that the ground nesting behavior
Mm-hmm.
might be an adaptation to the damp forest floor,
Makes sense.
provide a drier, more comfortable sleeping space.
So even though they aren't a new species,
Right.
The Bili Apes highlight how adaptable chimps can be.
Absolutely.
Right.
Their unique traits and behaviors show how the environment can drive evolutionary changes.
Even within a known species.
Even within a known species.
That's amazing.
It is.
Any other noteworthy behaviors that set them apart?
Yeah, one observation that stood out was that the Bili Apes seemed less fearful of humans.
Less fearful.
Less fearful of humans compared to other chimpanzee populations.
That's interesting.
It is.
You'd think that all wild chimps would be afraid of us,
You would think.
given our history
Yeah,
of hunting and habitat encroachment.
that's a good point.
Why would they be less fearful?
Well, it's possible that because the Bili Forest is so remote
Okay.
and hasn't been as heavily impacted by human activity,
Right.
the Bili Apes haven't had the same negative experiences with humans
I see.
as other chimp populations.
Right.
They may simply be less accustomed to seeing us
Yeah.
and therefore less wary.
It makes sense.
Yeah.
But let's go back to those early legends for a second.
Okay.
We've learned that the Bili Apes are eastern chimpanzees,
Right.
not a hybrid species,
Mm-hmm.
and that their unusual traits are likely adaptations to their environment.
Mm-hmm.
But what about those stories of them being lion killers?
Right.
Is there any truth to that?
Well, no one has directly observed a Bili Ape killing a lion.
Okay.
However,
Yeah.
Cleve Hicks, the primatologist who conducted the DNA research,
Uh-huh.
he did observe something quite intriguing.
What's that?
He saw a Bili Ape feasting on a leopard carcass.
A leopard.
A leopard.
That's still a pretty formidable predator.
That's a big cat.
I mean, does that give any weight to the stories about them being able to take down large animals?
Well, while we can't say for sure how that leopard died,
Right.
it does suggest that Bili Apes are not afraid to scavenge from large carnivores.
Interesting.
And it's possible that over time,
Yeah.
stories of these scavenging events morphed into legends of them actively hunting lions.
Right, so like a kernel of truth
A kernel of truth.
gets exaggerated.
Right, combined with imagination and storytelling.
Yeah, it creates captivating legends.
Exactly.
It makes you wonder how many other legends out there
Mm-hmm.
might hold a grain of truth just waiting to be discovered.
Right.
But before we get too carried away speculating, let's bring it back to the Bili Apes.
Okay.
What can we learn from their story?
I think it's a powerful reminder that there's still so much we don't know about the natural world. Even well-studied species like chimpanzees can surprise us.
Yeah.
And their story, I think, highlights the importance of approaching scientific inquiry with a balance of curiosity and skepticism.
Curiosity and skepticism.
Yeah, we should be open to the possibility of the unknown,
Right.
but also demand rigorous evidence before accepting extraordinary claims.
It's a good point. We need to be careful
Yeah.
not to get swept away by sensationalism,
Right.
but at the same time,
Yeah.
we shouldn't be afraid to question what we think we know.
Absolutely.
Sometimes the most unexpected discoveries
Right.
come from challenging our assumptions.
I agree.
Yeah, it's like the more you learn, the more you realize you don't know.
Exactly.
But like in a good way.
Yeah, in a good way.
It keeps things exciting.
It really does.
So if we take a step back,
Okay.
look at the big picture. What are the key takeaways from our deep dive into the Bili Ape mystery?
Okay.
What do you hope our listener walks away with?
I think first and foremost,
Yeah.
the Bili Apes are just a
Wow.
testament to the incredible diversity
Wow.
and adaptability of life on Earth.
Right.
They remind us that even within a well-known species,
Okay.
like the eastern chimpanzee,
Mm-hmm.
there can be remarkable variations in traits and behaviors.
Yeah, and it's not just about the apes themselves.
Right.
It's about us.
Exactly.
Right.
Their story reveals a lot about how we humans approach the unknown,
Yeah.
how we weave narratives,
Uh-huh.
how those narratives can sometimes lead us astray.
That's so true.
Right.
The Bili Ape story
Yeah.
is like a case study in the power of storytelling
Yeah.
and how a kernel of truth can get embellished,
Right.
transformed into something more sensational.
It's like a game of telephone.
Yeah, it is.
It's also a reminder of the importance of critical thinking,
Mm-hmm.
especially when it comes to these extraordinary claims.
Absolutely. We need to be both curious and discerning,
Yes.
excited by the possibility of new discoveries,
Right.
but also grounded in the need for evidence.
Absolutely.
It's like the Bili Apes are a metaphor.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
For that tension between wonder and skepticism
Yeah.
that drives scientific exploration.
And even though the Bili Apes turned out not to be
Right.
the giant lion-killing hybrids of legend,
Yeah.
they're still super fascinating.
We are in their own right.
Yeah, they've expanded our understanding of chimpanzee behavior
Mm.
and adaptation.
Absolutely. And they've reminded us
Yeah.
that there's still so much out there waiting to be discovered.
Absolutely.
You know, perhaps those seemingly far-fetched legends
Yeah.
hold a grain of truth,
Mm-hmm.
just waiting for the right combination of curiosity and scientific rigor to unearth it.
Who knows what other mysteries are hidden
Right?
in the depths of the Bili Forest?
Yeah. Or in our own backyards, for that matter.
That's true.
It's a thought-provoking reminder that the world is still full of wonders.
It is.
And that the journey of discovery is often just as rewarding as the destination.
Right.
We may not always find what we expect,
Sure.
but the pursuit of knowledge and understanding is always worthwhile.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Yeah.
And on that note, I think we've reached the end of our deep dive.
It has been a journey.
It really has. What a ride.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us
Thanks, everyone.
as we explored the fascinating world of the Bili Apes.
It was great to be here.
Until next time,
Yeah.
keep exploring.
Keep those questions coming.
Keep questioning.
And never lose that sense of wonder.
Never lose your sense of wonder.